Ramona, and welcome to Ramona Interviews. And with me in the chair today is Joseph Rolanitis. He's from the FDA. Thank you for coming back on again.
It's an honor to be here. I love coming to the show.
Thanks. You know, let's dive right into it because the hot topic this week was makeup. What's in it? What's not in it? What does it mean? And there is a bill in legislation. I know that it's not finalized by any means. It's kind of making its way through committee. What can you tell us about it, and how might it change what's already happening? Because obviously we do have label disclosure.
We do.
For retail. So what's happening, Joe?
Well, ingredients have to be stated in your cosmetics in the retail environment. And since the late 1930s, the Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act, the FDA has regulatory power over cosmetics, safeguarding and such. So we have existing regulations. We have the FD&C Act, which guarantees the quality of the product. Now, there is no requirement in the existing laws, Ramona, that requires that cosmetic manufacturers test for safety, but it is highly suggested that they do. You don't want to damage your clientele, injure anybody, and have a misbranded or adulterated product. So most of the major folks will test for the safety of their products. You don't have to do that. And I think this bill, and I briefly reviewed the summary on it, is addressing a required or mandated testing for all ingredients in cosmetics whenever the bill should be passed. But as you said, it's in committee and things bounce around and change dramatically when they come out of committee.
Yeah. How safe is our food in the age of terrorism? I mean, we're going to go like from one extreme to the other. We're going to go from looking beautiful in everyday life to wow.
But food defense is what the FDA is really spending a lot of money and time in right now. We've brought more people on to do food inspections. We've coordinated closer with our import folks. Nowadays, if you're an importer bringing food into this country, you've got to register. You've got to tell us that you are doing this type of work, so nothing bad can be put in the food that comes in.
It doesn't, but it also allows for accountability. You have a paper trail,
exactly.
and also it allows that person to step up and say, you know, my supply is good.
That's right.
I do the right thing.
That's the bottom line.
I sell a good product, and people get it, and I have a good reputation because of that, and that you have that clear accountability of where it's going. And I would think that would work on the back end. If something horrible does happen,
oh, it does.
You now can go back and have this paper trail and understand.
You have traceability now.
Yeah.
Accountability, as you said, traceability and responsibility. So that's a real major concern. And these folks now that are bringing food into this country, and we are the major importer of foods and everything else from about 85 nations in the world. America is a huge market. You can get stuff from foreign fields in a matter of like 3 days. It's just so fast.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's all there. It's all there for us at our warehouse stores and our major big box stores. It's a good thing. It's a good thing because it's a system that works if you watch it real close. And so the whole premise for food defense is to prepare for any action that might be a direct attack against the food supply, to foster a response mechanism, to respond quickly to it, have the resources, whether it be military, whether it be regulatory government, state government, medical facilities, the media, for example, and educated consumers to be able to respond to the situation and then to recover from a terrorist attack.
What happened? Now, did I not hear correctly that there was an egg recall?
Recalls happen a lot.
Now, what does that mean? And does that play into what you're doing, or is that something totally different? And then how do they find it? What do they do with all those eggs? I mean, is every single egg bad? And where do they put all those eggs? Is there like a recall center where everything goes and then it just gets mushed up?
Egg warehouse.
That must be a huge thing. You know how much food we sell?
We do. There's a lot out there. Well, recalls, and a lot of people don't know this, recalls are usually pretty specific and pretty local. Most recalls are local. And the recall mechanism is something that is in the law, has been for a long time, and falls both more under food safety than food defense, but it could be either or. And it just puts into place a system fostered by the producer of the product, whether it's a heart valve or an egg product, to take the product that they produced off the market if they have found it to be violative. By violative, improperly labeled, contaminated, not working the way it's supposed to be. And the FDA gives them the mandate and responsibility to do it. We oversee sometimes, but most major companies, Ramona, know how to recall. They do it all the time. It's part of the procedure. It's a safety mechanism, and people panic. People panic when they hear about recalls, but remember one thing. It's part of the system of bringing bad product off the market. It's been there for a long time. We know how to do it. Companies know how to do it. They do it, and it's just the system working the way it's supposed to. System work, and it's usually just a local thing. Usually
it's not a
local.
perfect system.
It's not.
You hope to have less recalls. You hope to have better quality control, a better management, but it's not a perfect world.
Not today, anyways. But we do pretty well in this country as far as purity of food, of blood products, devices, even your pet medications and your cosmetics, for example. We do a pretty good job of oversight, and industry works pretty closely with us.
And we as the people have a say.
We do.
I mean, we as a people can vote and say, no, we want this added to labels. So that it says that it has this.
That's correct.
Or we have a concern about this, and we can go to our legislatures and say, this is important to us and we would like this information. So it's not just the government that decides, it's the people who say, yes, we understand that these are the standards right now, but we can change that.
That's right.
By requiring other things, and then eventually, as it becomes a law, it gets passed down the road.
It evolves.
That evolves, and then everybody kind of gets online.
And a lot of people don't know that. They don't realize that they can petition for changes in laws. You can make your voice heard at the FDA by putting together a petition. If your viewers went to www.fda.gov and searched under petitioning the FDA, there's a lot of literature there that can address the cosmetic issue that we discussed earlier, can address food safety, food defense. Anything that we enforce can be added to, taken away, and so forth. There's a lot of stuff that your viewers can do, and I'm glad you brought that up, to make their voice heard. You can do it. I mean, you drive the government.
We consume the product.
Exactly.
Okay, we
We're the
see
market.
it in our families and in our neighbors and in our children, and we watch them grow. And if we have a concern about that product, we live in a country where it is a right.
It is.
You know what I mean?
Responsibility.
And a responsibility as well to say, you know what? That doesn't tell me all the information I think it should tell me.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't see it as a big hoop-de-doo. I don't see it as somebody, being an obstructionist. No, I see it as simply saying that we have a collective amount of people that say we feel that this is important, so put it on there.
Sure.
What's the big deal?
Yeah, and every time a law, as you know, is put forth, there's a comment period. It can be, a couple of weeks or a couple of months. Labeling of 12 years ago, nutrition labeling was a huge thing. We had a lot of comments from consumers. We had a lot of comments from industry. Industry didn't want the labels changed because it cost them millions of dollars to go through all their labels and accentuate nutrition values and so forth and so on, serving sizes.
But a good company will do it because they'll realize that those people
right.
will then say, and also too,
don't get you started, right?
Yeah, it's like, and I understand it, but that doesn't justify it. It's just the right thing to do.
Sure, it is.
You know what I mean? People have a choice in our country. You can eat a highly saturated burger, or you can not eat a highly saturated burger.
It's a wonderful choice.
You have that choice, you have that responsibility, you have that freedom, you have that free will. I'm not going to stop you from eating the saturated burger, but you should know what's in the saturated burger.
Educated consumers.
That's right.
Yeah.
And if you choose to eat it, all the more power to you. That's your choice. But so the company can say, well, we don't want to do it because it won't make us look so good, or they're going to know that it has this much fat in it. Even, well, yeah, it tastes so good because it has that much fat in it.
Right. Well,
that's life.
It's market share. Yeah, it's money, really.
And surveys have shown so far, from what I've seen, there's different things going on, that a lot of people in a lot of areas of the United States like that. They like the heavier saturated taste. That's what they're used to. So that's what they're going to have. I mean, you can't police what everybody eats all the time. It would be ridiculous.
Right. You can't regulate everything. Too much regulations in American society is probably not always what Americans seek, but they do. You need to be educated. You need to be aware, and you need to participate in the lawmaking procedure. You can do it.
I am Ramona, and you've been watching Ramona Interviews. Have a wonderful week.